It's the end of summer, and if you are staring at new dark spots or your melasma is flaring up, you are not alone. In today's video, we are doing a deep dive into Melasyl, the new patented ingredient from L'Oreal that is making waves in the treatment of dark spots. If we haven't met, I'm Dr. Sarah Shu, a dermatologist in the Seattle area. I get questions about hyperpigmentation every day. That includes questions about sunspots and melasma, and my own skin is so pigment prone that if I even look at the sun, I'll get a new dark spot. Okay, that's a little bit dramatic, but only a little bit. That's why I get excited whenever there are new options for treating dark spots because number one, the gold standard for treating dark spots, hydroquinone, has some serious problems. And number two, laser treatments are expensive and not everyone can afford them. So let's break down what is different about Melasyl and whether it's actually worth your money. Like with any brand, there are La Roche Posay products that I love and others that I skip. But I do appreciate that L'Oreal, which is La Roche Posay's parent company, invests a lot of money into research and development, and they actually publish their findings so we can take an objective look at the results. Take Mexeril 400, for example. It is one of my favorite UV filters. It's exclusive to L'Oreal, and it helps protect against long-wave UVA rays, which contributes to skin cancer, hyperpigmentation, and wrinkles. It is one of my go-to filters in strong sun, like when I'm on vacation. Last year, La Roche-Posay launched its Mela B3 line featuring Melasyl, a brand new molecule that, like Mexeril 400, is exclusive to L'Oreal. Here's how Melasyl is different. Most dark spot treatments, they work by blocking a protein called tyrosinase, which plays a really important role in making new melanin. Melanin is the pigment that gives your skin and my skin its color. Melasyl leaves tyrosinase alone. Instead, it gloms or latches onto the building blocks that make melanin, and it stops them from ever becoming pigment in the first place. This is a totally different mechanism, and that's exciting for anyone who hasn't seen improvements with traditional treatments. Now, let's talk about the OG, hydroquinone. It is still the gold standard because it works, but it has some major issues. Number one, you need to get a prescription to get it. It used to be available over the counter at the 2% strength. You might remember Ambi bleaching cream in the US, which is around $6. A lot of people were using it to fade post-acne marks. Then in 2020, it was banned from over the counter sales in the US as part of the CARES Act, which was a COVID relief bill. Hydroquinone has nothing to do with COVID, by the way. Now you can only get hydroquinone with a prescription, usually at the 4% strength, sometimes stronger than that if it's coming from a compounding pharmacy. It's often combined with retinoids like tretinoin and a topical steroid. That trio of hydroquinone plus a retinoid plus a steroid is called the Kligman formula, and it's also sold under the brand name Triluma. Disturbing fact, the Kligman formula was named after a dermatologist who ran experiments on prisoners without their consent. He referred to the prisoners as acres of skin, which is a pretty disgusting way to talk about people. Anyway, hydroquinone works, but it's irritating and long-term, its use can backfire. It can cause a permanent condition called exogenous ochronosis, where the skin becomes darker instead of lighter. Under the microscope, ochronosis looks like tiny yellow-green slugs attached to your skin's collagen. It's cute under the microscope, but people usually use hydroquinone to lighten their spots, not darken them. So when they develop ochronosis, they're pretty upset, and it can be harder to treat than the discoloration that they were trying to get rid of using the hydroquinone in the first place. Quick interruption, if you like evidence and clinically based skincare content like this, please hit the like or subscribe buttons. It helps small creators out a lot. Now let's talk evidence. Melasyl's real name is 2-mercaptonicotinoyl glycine. And yes, you can see why they had to give it a pretty name to market and sell it. But if you want to look up the published studies about this compound, you need to look it up by its real name. A 2024 study in dermatologic therapy compared Mela B3 serum to 4% hydroquinone in 109 women with melasma of all skin tones, ranging from really light to very deep. One group used Mela B3 on their melasma twice a day, and then the other group used hydroquinone once a day. After 3 months, both groups saw improvement, and Mela B3 was found to be non inferior to hydroquinone with less irritation. The investigators, or the people running the study, they judged the intensity of the women's melasma before, during, and after 3 months of the women using Mela B3 versus hydroquinone. And they didn't know which treatment the women were using when they were rating their melasma. But here's my big issue with this study. Why didn't they compare both products used the same number of times per day? Using hydroquinone only once a day in this study, when it's typically prescribed twice a day, feels strategic. It's like putting two people in a race and asking one of them to hop. Still, it is really promising that Melasyl had similar effects as once daily hydroquinone without the risks of irritation or permanent discoloration. So, what's in the Mela B3 line right now? It includes a foaming cleanser, a brightening serum, which is the one that was used in the study that I mentioned just now, and an SPF 30 sunscreen. Here's one issue I have with this entire line. The fragrance is intense. I've mentioned before that I am not completely anti fragrance. Fragrance is definitely not ideal for people with really sensitive skin or for people who have contact allergies to fragrance, but most people don't have these problems and it's totally fine. But I don't want to be slapped in the face with fragrance when I'm just putting on a serum or sunscreen. Sometimes La Roche-Posay is really heavy-handed when it comes to fragrance, and that is true for this product line as well. I also had some pilling issues when I layered the serum with other products, and the flakes were light pink because the serum is purple. That is another unnecessary addition in my eyes. I don't really want my skincare to be purple or pink or blue or whatever, unless the color is coming from an ingredient that's actually benefiting my skin. About the specific products, the cleanser reminds me of the Toleriane Purifying Foaming Cleanser, but it's $9 more and heavily fragranced. It does contain a polyhydroxy acid or PHA called gluconolactone, which is a gentle exfoliant. Plus, of course, it contains the Melasyl. The serum also has a lipohydroxy acid or LHA called capryloyal salicylic acid, which enhances Melasyl's brightening effect. In L'Oreal's published studies, using Melasyl with a lipohydroxy acid like this improves brightening performance compared to using Melasyl without the added LHA. The sunscreen is SPF 30 with titanium dioxide as its only filter, and I find that extremely underwhelming, especially if you're highly pigment prone the way I am. An SPF 30 sunscreen with titanium dioxide is like a knife in a gunfight. Now, if they were to launch a high protection sunscreen using Melasyl and L'Oreal's international filters, I would be the first in line. All three of these products contain niacinamide, which is in pretty much all skincare products these days. That explains the B3 part of the Mela B3 name, since niacinamide is a derivative of niacin or vitamin B3. Melasyl is also structurally related to niacinamide too, so that might also explain the B3 part of the name. Bottom line, which of these products would I recommend? If you are highly pigment prone, I would try the Melasyl serum. With sunscreen and sun protective clothing and other skincare, I think that it is a nice addition to your skincare routine that prevents pigmentation in a new way. Melasyl is a low risk and low irritation lightening ingredient, and it doesn't carry the risk of permanent darkening that hydroquinone does. I wish that La Roche-Posay could have held back a little bit on the fragrance, color, and niacinamide content, or maybe used niacinamide at a lower percentage than 10% so that very sensitive skin people could also take advantage of this new ingredient too. By itself, I don't think that it's going to miraculously make all your dark spots disappear, but it is a helpful active ingredient to add to an overall brightening routine. I am less excited about the other two options, the face wash and the sunscreen, because number one, the studies on Melasyl were specifically on leave-on products. Unless I'm shown research that shows me otherwise, I am not convinced that short contact with Melasyl in the face wash, like the minute I'm washing my face, is going to have the same effectiveness as leaving the product on for hours. If you want to use it as a mild exfoliating cleanser, I think that's fine, but it's $9 more expensive than similar options, and it has a very strong fragrance that I dislike. Number two, about the sunscreen. It is really hard for me to get excited about an SPF 30 sunscreen with titanium dioxide as its only filter. When you are highly pigment prone the way I am, you need intense UV protection. That's all I have to say about Melasyl and L'Oreal's Mela B3 line. I'm really excited to see what else L'Oreal comes out with using Melasyl, especially if they can come out with a solid sunscreen that has this ingredient. Eucerin has its own patented compound for hyperpigmentation called thiamidol, which is in their anti-pigment products and their radiant tone products. I've started to use these and I'll share my thoughts after I've used them for a long period of time and I've had a chance to do a deep dive into the research. I hope you've liked today's video and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.